Welcome to the Squared Circle Pit with your host, Rob Pasbani.
Now entering the Squared Circle Pit, one of my favorite people to talk about the true sport of kings, which is pro wrestling. I'm talking about comedian Pat Driscoll. Pat, thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for asking me, Rob. I'm very excited. This is going to be fun. This was a fun show. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're talking about Money in the Bank, and I feel like WWE has been on a very good run of shows this year. I feel like every show in 2023 delivered for them.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so far so good. It has benefited them greatly to go to places that they haven't been going to very often, with very crowds that are very excited to see them because they haven't seen them in a while. So I think that's been very beneficial. But I also think they've delivered on the shows for the most part too.
Yeah, agreed. They've been very smart in, going to Montreal, going to Puerto Rico, which may be one of my favorite pay-per-views of all time, specifically because of the crowd.
Yeah.
And I guess the last one before this was in Saudi Arabia. And I feel like even the Saudi shows, now that they actually aren't house shows and are very much in storyline, like the crowds respond better to them. Also, they have fans in the front rows now in the crowds.
Right.
Initially, they had like all the kings and queens and whoever who couldn't care less about being there,
Yeah.
They were just like playing with their nails. So yeah, it's been great. And Money in the Bank, I will say, I think Money in the Bank was a good, not great show. Like it was maybe a notch below some of the recent ones, still very good, but just didn't have that like one either insanely great match or insane twist or whatever. But it did have storyline progression.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's definitely falling a little below the radar, the line on those other shows, but still good stuff. More good stuff here than not, which, what are you going to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And, Money in the Bank traditionally is a setup show for SummerSlam. And I think they set up SummerSlam beautifully. SummerSlam looks pretty loaded. You pretty much have an idea what the card will be. We can go over that at the end. But let's start it. Let's start it off. Also, especially after that AEW pay-per-view last week, I love the pacing of WWE pay-per-views now because it's like I can't get sick of it because it's over by that time. Whereas
right.
With AEW, I'm like, please, come on, get to the main event.
Well, I'm sure you talked about this, but with the AEW show, just shocking that they cut a match. And it was still literally to the last minute. And I was like, what happened there?
What would they have done? Yeah, what would they have done if that match was still on the card? I don't know. Understand.
I don't know.
Okay, so the event starts with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match.
Sure does.
And I feel like you always know when an event is coming in hot when the men's ladder match precedes the women's match.
Right.
Because I feel like typically you would assume it'd be the opposite. And I think this was a great match to do as an opener. Very hot crowd. Also, this is in London,
right? Who
haven't had a pay-per-view in forever, in a really long time now, I think, right? Since, I guess, SummerSlam was.
I think John Cena
they had like
said
those
but I don't remember what it was. It was 20 plus years.
It's been a very long time.
Unless you're counting, you're not counting like, what were those shows that were like direct to VHS back in the 90s?
Yeah, like Insurrection.
Yes,
I was thinking,
Insurrection.
Yeah. But even that was like 25 years ago.
The 90s.
I guess, Clash of the Castle was last year, but this was great. I feel like UK crowd is always fun. Yeah. They're just fucking soccer hooligans. So
totally.
They're there to get drunk and heckle, and that's what they did. And this was really fun. So it was Damian Priest, Ricochet, Nakamura, Santos Escobar, Butch, LA Knight, and Logan Paul. A great assembly of wrestlers.
Yeah.
And LA Knight is so over right now.
Dude, it's crazy. And this happened like in the span of a month. And I love it. But I'm also like, that's just Eli Drake. Like, it's cool. I'm excited for him that it's happening. But like, there was a lot of commotion. I don't know if it's commotion, but a lot of people who were upset that he didn't win the match. And I can see that. He's riding a wave, I guess. But I was just like, of all of the things they have not done in recent memory, be it Drew or Sammy, this one feels like the least egregious to me.
And if anything, they're protecting him, because even if they gave him the briefcase, he's not winning. It's just you're setting yourself up for future disappointment.
Right, exactly. So he didn't lose a match. He went in there, got huge pops, huge reception. And if anything, this is one of those scenarios where you're just more over after the fact, I think.
Yeah, he was the most over guy. Like, the crowd wanted him to win. And also I think one thing that fans of LA Knight should take solace in is they know how over he is. Like,
right.
He got that moment at the end of the match where they want you to think that he's going to win, and he got over on everybody. He gave everyone a finisher. It was like, oh shit, he's really going to do it. Even I kind of was like, oh, is this his moment? And then they give Damian Priest the heat because they know how much you want LA Knight to win. And so now you hate Damian Priest even more. So I thought that was great. And Damian Priest, he has a built-in feud now with Seth Rollins because of the whole Judgment Day versus Seth Rollins feud.
Yeah, they seem to have a long-term story going on here, especially with the looks of like him and Finn sort of like butting heads now and where that's going to go. And it feels like it was one of those things where we know where we're going. We're not veering off course right now. And, however you feel about that is kind of how you're going to come around on the side of the match or not.
Yeah, and Priest has paid his dues, so I feel like he is a deserving Mr. Money in the Bank. It wasn't like Austin Theory last year. I was just like, ugh.
I know. I like this match too because, and look, they harped on it. They said it a million times, but it was all guys who haven't been there before. It's all like, not that they haven't been in ladder matches, but they haven't been world champion. And so it feels like you're going to get something fresh no matter what. I mean, I guess Austin Theory was fresh too, but in a different way.
No, but you're right. But that's how it should be. It shouldn't be like Brock Lesnar winning it. Like, who cares about that?
Yeah.
And I do feel like everyone got a really nice moment to shine. They gave Butch some spots.
That was
the
great.
Hometown guy.
I loved how they treated Butch because that guy, Pete Dunne, obviously just is. I'm happy he's up there. I'm happy he's doing pretty well. But God, I just lament the things we're not getting with him.
Right.
So it was nice for him to have like hometown crowd pop and have a couple of nice spots in there too. So that was good.
Yeah, that's a good point because I feel like the last great match I saw him in was when he faced Gunther at like one of those NXT shows in Brooklyn.
Right. I remember.
Where Gunther won the title, and it was just so good. It was so good.
And that was on like a stacked card too. And I remember coming out, I think that was Adam
like the
Cole
second match on the card.
Adam
Cole.
And
Gargano. Yes.
Yeah. And that was like the one everybody was talking about when it was over. And that was relatively Gunther. Knee Walter at the time was just kind of new to that scene, and it was pretty great. That was a great match.
One final thing I want to talk about is the spot with Logan Paul and Ricochet. Crazy moment.
Crazy.
They could have really hurt themselves.
They really, really could have.
In general, now, after the last few months, anytime I see two tables next to each other, I get very scared because I feel like everyone seems to be missing these double table spots where they go too short, so they only break through the first table and then hit their head on the second table. I can't handle it. Always.
And that was one of those things where it was just like, watching it was like Ricochet was just like, fuck it. Like, I'm just doing it. Like,
honestly, I'm so impressed in his like upper body strength to be able to pull that, because he was totally off balance and he still used all his might to flip over Logan Paul.
It was something to be seen. I feel like, I mean, you're probably going to talk about this at some point, but it does appear like that's the where they're going for SummerSlam. And it felt like that move had to be done to sort of like solidify that story going forward. So you have the Rumble spot, this spot, and he was like, I'm not missing out on this. I have to do it.
Yeah, this is the biggest match of my career.
Right.
I gotta make it. But also, like, what were they thinking? Like, how was the spot supposed to go correctly?
I don't know.
There's no way they would have been able to both land with both feet on the top rope for one of them to be able to walk across to catch them in the Spanish. It's insane. Maybe they practiced it, but I guess they had to practice it, right?
I'm sure they did, and they probably got it once and were like, oh, fuck, we're good. Mike, I have a question. So going into this, I thought Logan Paul was going to win. And I
also thought that.
Yeah. So how would you have felt with that result?
I would have got like as a fan, I wouldn't like it, but as someone who understands like there's a business element to it.
Right.
I thought it would have been a great business decision because he can go on all these interviews. He could just have it in the background of his podcast. It's just endless free promotion for them and a good way to have him pop into pay-per-views every few months.
Yeah.
But then what's the end game? The end game, like he would have had to have won the title because I don't think it would look good if he had that for so long and then didn't win. He would look like a chump, like a jabron, and they're trying to protect him. So I guess maybe he kind of fell into that same thing as LA Knight, where he's better off not getting it.
Yeah, I would have. I feel this very similarly. I would have been. Oh God, there's so many guys in there who just have been doing this for so long, and then this guy just comes in. But what a great heel move, nonetheless.
Yeah, and he's good. Like at least he's a good wrestler. It's not like Jay Leno, you know?
Right? Yes, he's put in like I don't know. He hasn't. I don't know. I guess he has put in the Bad Bunny work because he is every time out there. He's really good. I can't stand him, but look, he's doing what he does.
It is interesting because it's like Bad Bunny, I love. And it's like if they gave Bad Bunny the Money in the Bank, I'd be like, awesome.
I love it. Exactly.
Yeah, but Logan Paul, not so much.
Yeah. Which plays into their characters too, because Bad Bunny's sort of like the guy who loves this. And not that Logan Paul doesn't. He's been very kind and has spoken very highly of what wrestlers do and how hard it is to get there. But he still comes in with all that extra baggage of like, being a shit. So, which helps.
Yeah. But overall, great match, great opening match, great Money in the Bank. I feel in the last few years, Money in the Bank has kind of lost some of the cachet that it's built up of being like this insane spot fest, because also like how many of these crazy spots can you do? I honestly, I mentioned previously, like I hate ladder matches.
Right. I know you've said that.
Yeah, I think they need to cut them down to like a few a year, and this is the exception.
I agree. And we'll talk about it, I'm sure, later. But if I recall, I did watch these a little out of order. Like I watched the first match, and then I watched like a second chunk and then a third chunk. But I feel like there was a spot in both ladder matches where like they kicked one of the ladder in the middle of one, and then they ran across it. And I was like, wait a minute, am I being crazy? But it feels like they're really running out of things to do.
Yeah, there's only so many things you could do with the ladders, and it's been 25 years of ladder matches.
Yeah,
so how much can you really up the ante?
Well, all I know is I want to see another match where they race to the top of Titan Towers. Remember that?
For the moment, I thought it was fun.
It was. I have
better
never
than an empty arena match.
Yeah, I haven't ever gone back to it, but I remember thinking, all right.
Yeah, you never do have. And also, both matches happen at the same time, right?
I believe so. Yeah. Oh my God, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Inventive.
Yeah.
What about Santos? Can we just? I'm sorry. Do you want?
Yeah. Oh, I feel like he's so forgotten about.
I know, it's bumming me out because I really do think he's good. He's one of those guys. Like I wonder if he's just better served as a heel.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the thing is, if he was a heel, he'd be Los Lotharios. He'd be completely lost.
True, they're not even on TV.
And though those guys are really good too, at least now he's like the fall guy for Ray, and they always will feature Ray. So at least he has a spot. Him and Zelina, I feel like their stock has gone up so much because of the LWO, even though really the LWO are kind of just jobbers and merch.
Yeah. That is how it's going. He'll probably turn on Ray, and they'll just do Dominick Part 2 and see how that goes at some point.
Which are fine. I mean, like,
totally.
I think the LWO thing is kind of stupid, but I see that they're clearly selling a ton of merch.
Right.
So I understand why they're doing it. But
absolutely.
It's also annoying how they're saying that Ray is the founder and leader of the LWO. Ray had nothing to do with the original LWO. He wanted nothing to do with it. But
the founder and leader. Revisionist history, as they like to do.
And also, speaking of forgotten about, Nakamura, completely just an afterthought in this match. And just an afterthought in the promotion ever since coming back from injury, at least before he had that Boogs gimmick. Both of them are kind of just floundering. I don't know why they gave up on that. I thought they were a good combo. But
I agree.
Boogs, I think he was with like Elias. So just like, what are they doing?
The last time he was on TV, I think he was doing stuff with Elias, yeah. Which
Yeah.
apparently the story also was that like when Boogs got over playing music, that's when they took the guitar away from Elias and made Ezekiel. Very strange. They don't know what. Sometimes they just don't know what to do.
And this next match, thankfully, was short. It's the women's tag match. Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan defeated Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler after Shayna, surprisingly out of nowhere, with no storyline context, attacks Ronda Rousey from behind. I was so grateful. I was great. I like them as a tag team, actually. But the whole tag division is just wrecked for the women. They don't devote any time to it. They don't actually. It feels a lot like what the men's tag division was in the Attitude Era, which is just which program are we putting 4 people together into? You know,
Right, yeah.
There's no actual tag teams.
Yeah.
I thought they could have done a cool like Legion of Doom, Road Warriors gimmick with the two of them, but they never really came to fruition. And now I've come to learn that Ronda Rousey's contract is coming up very soon, so they totally rushed through this angle because she wants to do her final match with Shayna. So I guess her contract is up this summer. So
really?
SummerSlam is like her kind of out. And I guess she did have an injury, right? She injured her forearm right before WrestleMania. So that kind of messed up the story.
Got it.
Ultimately, my thought on Ronda Rousey is they got what they needed out of her.
Dude.
And I feel like for the last year, she has been just a total afterthought. She's clearly over it. She doesn't like how little the fans appreciate her, so she's not putting in her effort.
Yeah.
And the fans could see it and like hate her more.
Hate her.
And so it's like fine, like
Yeah.
no, not upset about this.
It's interesting. I didn't know that contract status thing because having not known that and seeing this play out, I was like, oh my God, are they trying to make Ronda a babyface again? Because she got turned on and it was clear that the crowd was just favoring Shayna for doing it. And I was like, you're doing the wrong thing. But I guess now knowing that that's the story, oh, she's out. All right.
Yeah.
She's on that
Even on
Mars
Raw,
show.
on Raw, Shayna had her promo talking about how Ronda doesn't deserve what she has, how Shayna, yeah. And I feel like the crowd was cheering Shayna. They were like, yeah, you're right.
Completely.
It's like, they just don't want to cheer Ronda at all.
They just don't like this person. So they're not trying to make Ronda a babyface. They're just trying to. She wanted the feud with Shayna, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense because they're old pals or whatever.
Yeah, and I think that's really kind of her. She's like, I'm done. I want to give all my heat to Shayna.
Oh,
so that
that's
you can
actually
build her
pretty
up.
great. I like that. And they'll probably have a fun little match at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think it'll be the best match Ronda could possibly have because Shayna will work with her too. I'm sure they're going to practice it and everything, you know. So it'll be good. And Ronda definitely can go away. Like maybe I could see her coming back every once in a while for a WrestleMania.
Yeah,
that
I
could
guess.
be fun.
She's
As a
one of those-
special
yeah.
guest star.
Yeah, she's just one of those people who didn't connect in the way. I mean, at the beginning, she really did connect, I think. And
Yes.
then they just kept her baby face too long. People didn't want to cheer her. Then they didn't kind of know what to do with her, and she was in the middle, and I think she got angry, and it just sort of soured from there. And thanks for your hard work. We'll see you later, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I feel like she's very important in the evolution of the women's division, and they would have never gotten what they've gotten if she wasn't there. You know, like definite wrestling Hall of Famer just because of what she's accomplished already.
I totally agree.
But it's done. She's done, and she doesn't care anymore. She just wants to have kids. So
She's good. So good luck. God bless, Rhonda. We'll see you.
Then we have Gunther versus Matt Riddle. I was a little let down by this match. I was expecting kind of like a PWG back and forth, but it was almost just like a glorified squash.
I thought so too, right? It seemed like that Gunther really just ran through him.
Yeah.
And
I guess they were telling a story with the ankle injury.
That was fun. That was fun to finish.
But they kept it short. That's what I love about this stuff is like, it's like, look, if we're doing this if we're dropping you out, we don't need to do a 20-minute
Exactly.
match.
Yeah.
Let's get in and out.
Yeah, Riddle's an interesting case study too, because it's like he I guess he's pretty over, but at the same time they don't seem to really want to do too much with him.
Yeah, I don't think they trust him to
I don't think
like
so.
like he's in that kind of Rob Van Dam position of he's more over than his
point.
push.
Yeah, good point.
But also they just like because of all the trouble he gets into outside of the ring, I just can't imagine him getting a much higher role than this.
I can't
just
either.
being he's always going to be like the guy that eats the pin in the feud.
Totally.
Cody versus Dominic is next.
You forgot
This
about
is
the
really
comeback.
fun.
You forgot about Drew McIntyre, baby.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry.
return of Drew
my
McIntyre.
goodness. This was really big. This was a great place to bring back Drew.
Yeah,
He was very over.
very much.
And are you kidding me?
Yeah,
You're setting up Gunther versus Drew?
I love it. I love
Yes, please.
it. Of course. Yeah, that's really all we have to say about it. But I agree.
Yeah, I
think
love.
that's-
Yeah,
It's gonna be.
I
good.
love that there's this like strong style division that Gunther is curating in WWE. It's like the IC title is a strong style title, and I'm so about it.
And like the last year plus of just Sheamus just being great. Like who would have seen that
this-
coming?
Absolutely. Like for the first 18 years of his career, Sheamus did nothing for me.
Nothing.
And then he started doing like New Japan style matches.
Yeah. With
And
the-
I'm in.
Totally. With the goofy brawling brutes and their suspenders and their caps. And it's like on the surface, it just looks like a goofy gimmick, but he just comes out and has what he says, the bangers after bangers on these ones.
Yeah, like I agree with you. When he first did this kind of character shift into this hoodlum, this hooligan.
Yeah.
He's a hooligan. I was just like, oh, this is weird. But it was exactly what he needed because he's like, I'm a different character now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not this jerk from before, so I'm going to be tougher. And it's absolutely worked. He's a main eventer to me.
He's great.
I'm so looking forward to Drew and Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I really have to hand it to Triple H. He's made all the titles mean something. Like everyone has, like Gunther's reign has been great and
Yep.
completely different than all these other reigns.
Absolutely. Especially, that Intercontinental. It feels like that belt always being given to sort of like, well, traditionally the smaller guys who work fast and hard. And now it's just like you said, becoming this like strong style title is like awesome. Super fun. I love it.
Yeah. And it's a main event championship. It can main event SmackDowns, which
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like 10 years ago it could not.
No way.
It wasn't as big a deal when it was like Miz and Dolph.
Yeah, definitely not.
So now we have Cody and Dominic Mysterio, two guys incredibly over.
Dirty Dom.
I was in love with this crowd singing every word to Cody Rhodes' theme song. Every word.
Oh
that
my
they knew.
God! I was so surprised how over he was in England after that tense battle with Anthony Ogogo all those years ago. Words were said.
Wrestling fans have short-term memories.
But yes, literally knew all the words. They were singing everything. Do you know all the words?
No.
No, I don't either.
No. It's so funny because I feel like Downstate, the band that sings it, they're such an awful band. They're so bad. But like this song is a good song.
It's a great wrestling entrance for sure.
It's a great wrestling entrance. But they can't even perform it live. When they perform it live, it's brutal. It's all just studio tricks.
Yeah, but they were into Cody, man. I saw somewhere somebody saying, like, I think it was after this weekend, like, ever since WrestleMania, Cody feels like an afterthought. And I was like, what are you watching? Like, I know it's not the same. He's not in that rarefied air with Roman right now, but he's still super over. People love
He's
this
the top guy on Raw.
Top guy.
He's above Seth Rollins, I would say.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I keep thinking is like, what a brilliant move for him to leave AEW. Like imagine if he was still in AEW right now, he'd be totally lost in the show. He'd be in this Jeff Jarrett feud.
Probably.
You know?
Yeah, he did make the right decision upon looking back at it. I mean, the guy's just like super over, and
The character just works better in
I agree.
this cornier environment. And I don't
agree.
really mean that as a knock. It's just there's way more cynicism in AEW with AEW fans, whereas here there's a lot of like the patriotism is all about what
They
WWE's
like
all
it.
about.
Yeah, his corniness plays well into what WWE do for sure.
Yeah, and I thought this match was exactly what it needed to be. Cody, obviously, like we said, a notch or two above Dominick in the pecking order. No way he's losing, and he won decisively, and nor does he need to win with cheat. Dominick lost nothing here.
Nothing.
He's still super over. Loving everything him and Rhea Ripley are doing.
They're
like,
so great.
They are getting each other over, and like they are the epitome of grabbing the brass ring, because they're taking everything WWE has given them and making it their own, and like they're creating these great characters. I feel Rhea in general is one of the best gimmicks in WWE right now. Like this is a modern day China, and she's a great wrestler.
Totally.
She's a great actress. So yeah, I love this. This is great, and again, short.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much more to add. I love Dom and Rhea. I think they're great. Dom, back when he was doing the babyface thing with Ray, it was like, this guy's going to turn on Ray. Like, how is that going to go? And you just trust the guy, I guess, because and it's not trickery. He's doing the work. He's putting in the work. He's milking every one of those boos, those moments where he's just getting, beaten up by those boos. He's the hair, he was wearing the what was he wearing? The ammo when he came out? The bullets or whatever on his chest. Like the prison Dom thing was just that was when the tide turned, was when the prison thing. And yeah, the two of them together, they're making magic right now. And I actually I think now, like when he eventually turns babyface, he's going to be a player, because people, they only want to cheer for the guys they boo the most, So we'll see what happens. But as of right now, yeah.
I thought turning heel was the best thing to happen to him. I had the same trajectory as you, where it didn't make sense to me at first, because he seems so clean cut babyface.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's been around wrestling his whole life. He knows what wrestling is and how you need to behave as a heel. So he figured it out really quickly. And WWE is behind him. He's like basically the youngest guy on the roster. So
yeah, probably
they need him to work.
Yeah.
Then this is where the show really slowed down for me. John Cena comes out. I thought, I don't like John Cena. I never liked John Cena. I feel like there's this whole shift in behavior now, where people are trying to say John Cena was actually great. It's like, no, he wasn't. He actually brought down so many pay-per-views and so many storylines because he wouldn't go away. I'm not forgetting this. I'm not forgiving it. I hate him less now in his Babe Ruth role.
Right.
He's much more tolerable to me, where I almost was like, oh, this is a nice surprise.
Yeah.
You know? And I've enjoyed his acting career, so that's helped him get over with me.
Right. For
but
sure.
I still think John Cena sucks. And I was very glad that the UK crowd did not forget that portion of the song.
Yeah.
They sang it at him. Then he's just going on and on. This was incredible to me because they interrupted their pay-per-view to give the Tourism Board of London a sales pitch. That's what it read like to me.
Pretty much.
They flew John Cena out, I'm guessing on a private jet.
Yeah.
He probably left right after because he's shooting a movie, I heard.
Okay.
Just to do this pitch for WrestleMania for the Tourism Board.
Right. Yeah, that's all it was. And I mean, I guess the AEW thing selling out Wembley has them shook a little bit, right? Because it seems like this is
in a weird way. I think it helps them.
Right. I agree.
Could point to this as look, here's how much excitement there is for the secondary brand of wrestling.
Yeah.
And look at the prices that they charge. We can charge double, and we could do a whole week of events.
Right.
They're just doing, so it really helps their case study.
Totally.
I think just thinking about the RFP that they've built. and already I saw something in the on BBC today where they asked members of parliament about this even, and
Really?
they're like, sure, yeah, bring it over. Yeah.
I love that.
So it's exactly what they want. You know,
Cena,
the thing is,
baby.
though, 40 is already in the bag.
Right.
It's going to happen in Philly.
Yeah.
41, I believe, if it hasn't been locked in, they're closing the deal now. Usually, I feel like they announce it in the fall.
Yes.
The fall a year and a half ahead of time. Like they're so ahead of time with this stuff. So it might not even be until WrestleMania 42, 2 or 3 years from now, that this even happens.
Let's get started early. You got to get Cena out there. It was.
Yeah. I found the article now. There's 2 members of parliament.
Yeah.
That want to make this happen. I think what they really want is just their name in the BBC.
Let me tell you, I am all for a WrestleMania that starts at 3 p.m. Let's do it.
I was thinking the same thing. I would love that. I really loved that Money in the Bank started at 3. I watched the first half of it. Then I had to go out because I had plans. I came home. There it was on DVR for me. Watch the rest. 9 o'clock. I'm done. Please.
That's it. That's how you got to do it.
I love it. I think I started thinking about this actually with Forbidden Door because Forbidden Door ended at midnight.
Yeah.
It started at 8. Well, the pre-show started at 7.
Right.
And the pre-show was full of matches. So I think it counts. It went from 7 to 12. 5 hours of wrestling. Why couldn't it have been from 5 till 10?
Right. Perfect.
You know? Like, why not? Why not?
I don't know. Did you make it through it on first watch, Forbidden Door?
Well, I was there. I was
right.
I flew out to Toronto.
That's right. I forgot.
And to your point, no, I didn't make it.
When did it start to feel sluggish for you?
Okay, so right after the Omega match,
right, I imagine,
because it was so good and I used so much of my energy bar that, like, as that adrenaline shoots down, it was really during the entrances of like when Naito's coming out because it was like really long. It was that 6-man. And the Sting match, it was all right. It kind of got me into it. But then as the Bryan match is starting, I'm like dozing off.
I can imagine. Like, it's a lot.
This is the match I wanted to watch.
Yeah.
So it really got me upset at AEW for making me not enjoy this thing that I spent all this money on.
And on a Sunday, no less.
And on a Sunday, it doesn't make sense to me.
Doesn't make sense.
It does not. Like, these are just traditions that have been going on for so long that don't need to happen in modern society.
Yeah. In modern society. I agree.
Like, pay-per-views actually used to start at 7, and then WWE started Sunday Night Heat.
Right.
And then so they pushed them to 8.
Yeah.
And ever since then, it's been 25 years of 8 p.m. start times. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
We don't need it.
We don't need it. I'm an old man. I get my sugar crash by the time the main event goes on. I want to go to bed.
I love you, by the way, ranting about John Cena. Because you know what, Rob? You're brave enough to say it. I love that. People are.
Everyone seems to have forgotten.
John Laurinaitis versus John Cena in the main event of a pay-per-view. Get out of here.
Decade of destruction, of terrible. Like, how many pushes John Cena has stifled because they didn't want to go with another person.
So true. So true. Fuck that guy. But
get out of here.
But Peacemaker, come on.
But Peacemaker was great. So
welcome back, John. Grayson Waller hung with him, I thought, pretty good. Better than Theory.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm starting to grow on Grayson Waller. I don't really watch NXT too much anymore. There's just
Me
too
neither.
much shit on.
Yeah, I don't either.
I follow the results.
Same.
I'll check in on the takeovers or whatever they call them now.
Yeah.
But I like him. I think he has potential. Like, he could work at it.
I think so too.
To be like a better Miz kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. His
go ahead.
look is pretty generic, I think. They got to figure something out there. But like, as far as obviously the talking is there. I don't know if I've seen a Grayson Waller match, to be honest. Have I? Maybe.
He was in one of those war games, in one of those NXT war games.
I don't know if I saw it. There's too many matches. Every match is good now, too. It's like, I can't.
He's fine.
Every match is great on TV.
I agree.
Too many good matches.
I'm giving us so much content. Then the women's Money in the Bank ladder match with Io Sky defeating Zelina Vega, Becky Lynch, Bayley, Trish Stratus, and Zoe Stark. This match was so good.
Loved it.
So good. And this was better than the men's match.
I think so.
Which I think is a huge compliment to all these ladies, because I feel in general the women do not take as many risks, nor do I judge them for that.
No, they shouldn't.
But as a result, it leads to a less exciting match. But here, oh my God, that Zelina Vega Code Red. That was insane.
Zelina Vega's always so like she comes out to this match and I'm like, Zelina Vega, she's like not that good. And then I'm like, holy shit, she's good now. Like
She's
she
crazy.
has gotten good and crazy. That spot was incredible.
I feel with Zelina, she just needs a good base to catch her. She does really cool head scissors, Hurricane Rana type things. And this was good. And also it had two different storylines intersecting here. You had the Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus ongoing storyline, which I think they've surprisingly done a very good job with. Like, it's been so good. Trish Stratus looks incredible. She needs to give her plastic surgeon's number to every other, like Charlotte Flair needs to contact this plastic surgeon because she looks better today than she did 10 years ago.
Yep.
She looks just as good as she did 20 years ago. And like 10 years ago, her face looked totally different.
Yeah.
Now she looks exactly like she did 20 years ago. I don't know what happened.
She looks great. She was great in the match. She was taking risks. She was landing on her feet a lot.
Cares.
But who cares? She was I thought Trish was great in this match. That brawl the three of them had outside the ring, Zoe, Becky, and Trish, was friggin' great. It was believable. I believe that Becky wants to kill this woman. It's some of the best stuff I think Becky's done since she's come back.
Yeah.
And
this has been the first face Becky angle that's really worked to get the crowd rooting for her.
I agree with you. That's absolutely true. And they've needed that because they need her in that position. She's one of their top stars and she doesn't need the title, but in some ways she can help them more without the title, but she needs that momentum in those feuds.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. She needs to be on the cusp of getting a title.
Right.
Because otherwise it devalues the title that the biggest star doesn't want it.
Right. Totally.
And Bayley was excellent here as well. Bayley has been doing such a great job of getting Io Sky over. Mm-hmm. And I loved the way they did this ending. I thought it was so creative and played it so well into the rest of the match because you really assume that either Bayley or Becky are winning, and then Io comes with the handcuffs and that's it.
Great.
They can't go anywhere.
Super creative.
Yeah, and it's so hard to come up with a creative finish, like we said, after 20 years of these ladder matches. So they really did it, and the right person won. I was very excited for Io to win. I'm glad they're pushing her. She's so good.
Yeah,
she's as good as most of the men. You know, she's up there as one of the best workers they have. So it's exciting that they're getting behind her. Was it in Puerto Rico that she had the match with Bianca? Yeah, and the crowd was rooting for her. That was a great match, and that was the time when it was like, oh, all right, she's ready to be pushed. Yeah, the crowd gets me. She has that kind of, I feel like the Rey Mysterio vibe, where she's smaller, but you're like, no, she's a tough fighter. Mm-hmm. Like you want to root for her, and she's done some crazy spots. Like she'll do a moonsault from anywhere. Oh, yeah, she will. And sometimes it doesn't always work out great, but she doesn't care. She just goes for it. Shout out to Becky for fish hooking Bayley with the handcuffs. Oh, that was great. That was such a cool spot. Yeah. They work so well together. It's also wild now that they're the seniors, you know? I know. They've graduated to being the veterans now. I still remember them coming in with that, like, in those, like, trios that they set up. The submission sorority. Lest we forget. And now they're the ones showing everyone else. So it's very cool how that transition happened. Yeah. This was great. Yeah, this is really good. Maybe the match of the night for me. I think so too. It was very, very fun. Then we had Seth versus Finn Balor. Right before we had a Damian Priest interview where he kind of suggests that he might cash in or do something here. And I was like, oh, I see what they're setting up. Right. Fun. This match was fine. Yeah. It was kind of there. It was more like the need for it was to kind of advance the storyline of this feud with Damian Priest. So they didn't really work too hard. Like, I mean, they worked hard, but like they didn't do too much. It was very sprinty. Like it felt like they were just like going at a clip. Like I wonder if time got cut, which probably did happen, but also like I
I had a lot of expectations for this match. I really like the way they've been portraying Finn over the course of this feud, at least, sort of like going back to that SummerSlam and the injury and how we got injured and all that. And I really was excited to watch that story play out. And I wonder if they do this again at SummerSlam in some sort of a stip match. Maybe not, but either way. So I was a little disappointed because I'm always looking for Finn Balor to be like used better. And I felt like they were finally doing that. And I thought these two obviously work well together. So it being a little shorter kind of bummed me out a little. So no knock on them, just sort of like the overall thing didn't quite match my expectation.
I agree. I feel like this is the first time since Finn came back from that injury that they're really treating him like a top guy again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like they've had a lot of start-stop pushes with him.
Yeah. This feels like Triple H's influence because he's got to be a Triple H guy, you'd think.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it has been nice to see this, but yeah, there was really nothing to this match.
Yeah.
So I guess they're going to do this again. I mean, I don't see who else is ready, who's in line for. Also, where's Bobby Lashley?
I was thinking that. Isn't he? I don't even know what show he's on, technically. Not that matters, but is he on SmackDown?
Yeah. He hasn't been on in a while.
Yeah, he really hasn't.
What was the last?
He came out like at one point after Mania, like on after the draft and like squashed somebody, I think, but nothing of any real substance for him at all.
Yeah, interesting.
This Seth character.
Yeah, so
sorry.
I guess they're continuing. I could see also the 3-way with Damian Priest added in.
Possibly.
But yeah, this was just a transition. And I guess if they really didn't have much going on, keep it short. And then it was fine. It didn't do anything for me.
I agree. And I was disappointed because I was looking forward to it.
Yeah. And then we had the main event.
Sure.
I am blown away that I still care about this.
I do, though.
They're pacing it so well.
I do. I really care about it. I really do. The match was obviously like they planned. We need to have an epic. This has to be 30 minutes. And the first 15 were like boring. And then the second half was great.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of been the formula for Roman Reigns matches, is that like the first act is stalling and letting the crowd shit on him. And the crowd here was great. The crowd here, wonderful chance. Stand up if you hate Roman Reigns. Take your shoe off if you hate Roman Reigns. Just really silly things.
Roman is so good too. Roman is just milks those moments better than anybody. He's just level.
And then when the match really kicked into high gear, like 15, 20 minutes in, it was on. It was really good. It was really good and really, really believable. They set up the spot where Roman stacked the two of them. So first they set up the ref bump, which has been now a trademark of Roman Reigns matches, and Jay getting the visual pin. Mm-hmm. And this is where the crowd was like so rabid. They're like, oh, he could be winning, blah, blah, blah. Then Solo comes in, attacks both the Usos. Yep. They do the stacking, which is what Paul Heyman predicted would happen.
Yeah.
The crowd is like, no, this is bullshit. I hope this isn't the ending. This sucks. And I absolutely bought this was going to be the ending. I totally bought it. They both kick out.
Awesome.
Crowd goes nuts. I'm with the crowd.
Totally.
This is total. This is only a type of moment that WWE can do. Like, this is WWE sports entertainment gaga right here.
Absolutely.
Because they were so into it. And then from here, it was such a roller coaster, this final act of how they're setting up everything. Solo misses a table spot. Yeah. He's knocked out. The two of them give Roman Reigns a super kick party.
Loved it.
And then Jay goes to the top to do the splash and pins Roman Reigns the same exact way that he gave Roman Reigns his first ever pinfall in WWE. Lots of parallel. Oh, I forgot. There was actually another great moment, drawing back to their previous singles match, where Roman spears Jay, gets him in a pin. Jay's arm is in between Roman's legs, and he kicks out, and at the same time does a low blow to Roman, which is Roman's signature move.
Yep.
He does it back to him. I love that. I love all these little Easter eggs.
Yep.
How if you're paying attention, they really reward you. I was so into this.
I agree. That second half of that match was just so good. The crowd was on fire. And honestly, after that frog splash, I was like, he's going to kick out. He's going to kick out. And then he didn't. And it just kind of like, oh, what a great moment. And the stacking way Solo did the spike as he speared him. Oh my God, it was so good. I'm so in on this. It just like, when I think it's over, it's like, I'm still here.
Yeah, and there's still so much to go. There's way more to go. So I think, obviously now I think we're getting Jay versus Roman at SummerSlam.
I feel that
way,
yeah.
It's so insane how Roman Reigns almost single-handedly created 4 main eventers. Mm-hmm. Sami Zayn, the Usos, and Solo.
Yep.
All getting that Roman rub.
Yeah.
and now they're bona fides. Like Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns makes sense as a main event. You want to see it. I want to see Jey win. I know he's probably not going to win, but like that as a fan, that's what I'm rooting for.
I will say too, like, this has been 3 years, and that's where it started with Roman and Jey.
Right.
And obviously it's gone through things that they didn't expect, and they've pivoted and they turned and they moved things around and they've done it. But this feels very fitting. Like, this really feels like a big match because that's how it started. And look, he's probably not winning, but oh man, I would love it. I would love it if he did.
And but also they have to have like a good storyline for him not to win.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the next part of the story is now Solo has to leave the bloodline.
Right.
And Roman is essentially all on his own, and that's when Cody can defeat him, if Cody's the one to beat him. But that's just what I imagine, because I feel like the reason Roman lost this match is he didn't have the Usos to interfere for him, and help him win. And so the more he loses these tools, the more vulnerable he is to finally losing.
Yeah, it's great. This has just been, probably, if not the best story they've ever told, it's up there in the upper echelon of, because it's been consistently very good. And again, like I said before, they've pivoted, they've moved away. Say what you will about Sammy losing or Cody losing and feeling however you feel about those things, and they have managed to play into a greater story. Like, look, I'm not defending the Cody loss at Mania necessarily, but if Cody wins that match, this doesn't play out this way, because Roman having the title and the Usos not is what causes that rift that ends up here. So I don't know. I hate to, I'm not going to be the apologist for things that felt really bad in the moment, but I don't know, maybe.
Maybe they know what they're doing. Maybe this is finally the moment where they do know what they're, because usually it's like, no, they're not going anywhere. But I feel like they've been very consistent. They know what they're going. And it isn't just with this angle that they're doing this stuff. They're being very protective of all their champions.
Totally.
Like, even on SmackDown on Friday, Pretty Deadly were being rooted for really hard by the audience against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
To the point where you could see a title change happen there. But Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are 3 tiers higher up on the pecking order than Pretty Deadly. So there's no way that was happening. But I feel like in a previous era, they would have done that.
Maybe. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yep, definitely.
But now they're like, no. These are our guys. We're setting up more important things.
Right.
Forget about this one moment.
Yep.
So it is pretty consistent, at least.
Yeah.
For the most. So it's been good. All right. So we kind of hinted at a few of the matches for SummerSlam. Let's just go through it. Yeah. So Ricochet versus Logan Paul. That should be fun. I'm so happy for Ricochet.
Me too.
I just keep thinking about Ricochet telling his son, "Oh, I'm wrestling Logan Paul," and his son being so impressed. Like that's why I think that's cool.
Yeah, totally. That'll be a fun and look, that'll be a really fun, maybe a little scary at times match. But I think it'll be fun.
It does make me gain a bit of respect for Logan Paul because obviously he has a lot to say on who he can wrestle. And he's like, give me the guy that does the craziest high spots. I want to do something. I want to get some viral videos going.
Right. Let's do it.
I respect that. Yeah. And I'm like I said, I'm happy for Ricochet. He's one of my guys. I feel like he deserves way more. So I'm glad he's getting a spot like this.
Yeah, me too. A marquee
Shayna-
match on the second biggest show of the year. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's big. I think he should be like that upper mid card kind of guy, like the best friend of the world champion that gets beat. Like he could be that role.
They did kind of do that at one point when like Seth was a babyface and he was the champion, and Seth would always be like, "We have a Ricochet," like talking, like fighting with Will Ospreay on Twitter.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So we have Shayna versus Ronda. Pretty sure like Shayna will win here.
I think so. It'll be fun.
Sure, this is fine. Becky versus Trish. Looks like they're setting up
into it, unless they find.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have to do. I think Becky and Lita versus Trish and Zoe at some point. Where's Lita?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I guess they could stretch it out some more if they wanted to, but
Yeah, SummerSlam.
maybe that'll be a Raw match.
Yeah, I think SummerSlam feels like it should be the blow off.
Yeah.
So that's fun. I'm into it. They've been doing good work.
Yep. And so then there's Drew versus Gunther, as we mentioned. I don't imagine Drew winning, especially with his contract
Yeah, probably not.
talks.
But I'm all in for that match. That'll be a blast.
Bianca versus Charlotte versus Asuka. Sure.
Okay.
Triple threats, I'm not crazy about, but all right.
As long as Asuka keeps it, because I'm hoping for, as I think we all are, the Asuka Io feud for that title.
Yeah. And then I guess we might have another
Jay and Roman,
Seth
which we talked about.
Oh, Jay and Roman, yes, of course.
Yeah.
And then maybe Seth versus Finn, or Seth versus Finn versus Damian.
Oh, Cody and Brock.
Oh, Cody and Brock. That's right. And there's probably going to be a stipulation. I don't know. I wasn't crazy about their first two matches. This angle, I'm ready for Cody to move on.
Me too.
Cody is just in a holding pattern, I feel, until he gets back to Roman.
Yeah, it feels that way. They did a brawl at the open of Raw last night, which I did see, which was pretty good. I mean, as far as those things are concerned, Cody got the upper hand on him, which was pretty fun. But again, let's just have Cody win this pretty quick and get out of here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But SummerSlam looks pretty fun. And now it's at the beginning of August. Usually it's at the end of August. But this year they seem to be doing the first Saturday of the month is their pay-per-view schedule. I'm okay with it.
That's fine with me. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. It should be fun.
Yeah.
It should be in Detroit.
Yeah.
And Ford Field. I love these. They're doing so many stadium shows. It looks so nice.
These are really fun. I like them too. A lot of cars. They were driving cars in that commercial. I'm sure you saw.
I know, yeah. Remind me of more of a fast lane.
Yeah.
They got to bring back Eva Marie with those flags, if you recall. All right.
But this was a fun show.
Yes. And this was a fun podcast talking to you, Pat.
Oh, I always have a blast talking wrestling with you, Rob.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Follow Pat on social media. What's your social media?
Pat D says PATDSEZ.
Boom.
Yeah,
It's on the screen too.
There you go.
So there you go, folks. Thank you so much, Pat.
Thanks, Rob.